This doesn't sound right, though. He raced over in his race car. My name is Robert Callahan, and I'm reading Doctor's Visit, The Disease. His story is not based on real events. Any similarities are purely coincidental. I know my wife has the disease. All that I need to know is if the helicopter is arriving with the treatment. I need the vial, Larry shouted. No one responded. Get me the doctor. I need to save the life of my wife to save my own life. I need my wife to have a life in my life. Larry was livid. Here he was at the hospital. He had to leave his high-profile law firm office early to come to the hospital. He loved his wife and he wanted answers. Larry was filled with rage on top of his sadness because he got pulled away from the second biggest case of his career. A lot of people know about a lawyer's big case. Though it is your second big case that really sets you apart, it sets a lawyer into a higher bracket. This case was an open and shut case in his eyes. He wanted to walk into the courtroom and close his briefcase. The murderer in this case pushed their partner off of the roof. Their partner survived a 37-story fall, but his wife, he got the call that she was in critical condition from a disease. He raced over in his race car, getting there rather quickly. No, don't be weak, Larry shouted to himself as he paced around the waiting room, fighting not to let a single tear out. Sure, Larry explained himself in the... Sure. Larry explained himself to the courtroom when he got the video call. He asked the judge to temporarily pause the case until he could resume. So there was no real problem with the case. He could still win. Bingo. Wait. Bingo. Wait, sorry. I yelled. Bingo. I got it. Bingo. I got it. I got the folder with Martha L's name on it. Bingo. The folder with my wife's name on it, Martha L. It states here that she's in operating room 7B. You can try to stop me if you want, but I need to see my wife. I need to know if she is going to live from this disease. I need to know, did the helicopters get there with the vials in time, or did they arrive at all? As Larry was rushing towards operating room 7B, he was screaming down the hall. He rushed to 7B, making it there in lightning speed time. He burst through the operating doors and saw his wife, who was in an adjacent room with a glass partition separating them. The doctors were holding her down as she screamed. It didn't sound like her normal scream. It sounded more like the disease or the doctors holding her down. Something caused her to scream unnaturally that I did not recognize. Okay. The surgeon successfully injected 5 vials of the blue flowing treatment and was reaching for the 6th one to inject, not realizing that it was too late. The disease had taken over his wife's entire body. Martha let out a glass-shattering shriek. Glass, like the Memorex tape, Aretha Franklin. Her shriek exploded the glass surrounding her operating table and the partition for the room adjacent from her. But most of all, it exploded Martha too. Whoa. She exploded too? The room was filled with the sounds of boiling, sizzling flesh, along with doctors and surgeons letting out blood-curdling screams. Larry fell to his knees so hard that he was feeling as if it was a concussion-like fall, and he felt dizzy and his vision was shit. Larry, is that you? Larry, I've been trapped in this body for days, Larry. I could see your ghost presence there the whole time, said a voice coming from the bright, cloudy light. It's me, Martha. I must be a ghost now. You must be a ghost now, too. I can see you. You can see me. Well, can you see me? Martha said. Larry could see her. Larry must be dead, too. He must have died. It explains so much. Man, he must be dead. He must be dead. He's gotta be dead. He must be dead. Everything's going so fast. He shot to the operating room in lightning speed. No one can respond to anything because everything's just happening so fast. He's gotta be dead. He must be dead. There's no other explanation. Larry was also an amateur ghost hunter, and he always played the part of the skeptic. So here it is that we find Larry chest deep in a sea of irony. Larry remembered back to his ironic case, the second biggest case of his career, while his client was the second shortest man in the room. Standing only 1 inch taller than the bailiff at 4 feet 8 inches, his client was being accused of murder. He wondered how such a tiny jolly fellow with a good attitude would be able to kill someone. He's gotta be innocent, Larry thought to himself. Things were not going as well as Larry had anticipated. Now, the courtroom was silent, and out of nowhere, the phone rang. Larry was receiving another video call on his telephone. This ringing caused Larry's client to go into a rage like no other. He leaped from behind Larry and jumped on his back, sinking his teeth into his shoulder and neck combination, tearing at his skin. Much to everyone's surprise, he just stood up on Larry's back, and you can see the chunk of flesh that he had removed from Larry's shoulder. It had to be the size of a baseball. You could see the blood gushing out of the hole in Larry's shoulder. Up until this point, Larry had lived a life of being alive. At this point, he was dead. He was dead instantly from the size of the gaping wound and the loss of blood. Larry never thought he was going to live this kind of life. Dead. And now Larry's realizing back from the beginning when he was thinking of being dead with the speed and not responsive and things like that. Now he could think about the things like driving, talking, thinking, and walking. Just everything is much faster. Being a ghost now, everything is much faster. He was sad at this point, and then he seen her, Martha L., and they embraced. It was a great feeling. The clouds were there, swirling around and around, and Larry was starting to feel different. Larry asked why. Larry asked out of curiosity. He'd been wanting to know what the L stood for in Martha L. And Martha responded with, as she was telling him the answer, she was balling up a tear in her eye. Her chin was quivering. And she said to him, Larry, the L stands for I love you. I never thought I'd have the chance to tell you because we were not in the same situation. But I feel now that we are both dead, I want you to know that I did take your name in a sense. L for Larry. Larry, I love you. Martha said it in a whimpering way. Larry smiled and with a glimmer in his eye, and he said, I always wanted to call you Mary. I thought it had such a nice ring. Larry and Mary, in love. This would be true love. Now, did we pass on to another life, to another dimension? Were we reincarnated? What became of us? I guess we'll never know. Yep, we'll never know. Well, till the next time, I'll see ya. How was that?